You know, had to cut a little bit of the creepy with some totally cheesy intro into the tutorial, but welcome to my channel. This is GennyBBeauty, and I am here to give you guys a quick Halloween tutorial. What's great about this tutorial is this is almost 100% drugstore makeup. Like right now I'm using a NYX palette, and the foundation that I used was L'Oreal, and the primer I used was a color corrector from NYX. And I think the only thing that I'm wearing in this that's not drugstore is my contacts and my eyelashes. But the eyelashes really, they're just kind of a really pointy set. You'll see at the end, we'll talk about it more. So here, I already put a little bit of white on my face. Now I'm just kind of creating shape around my face, because yeah, I want to be as pale as I can get, preferably on the white side, but I don't want to be pasty because it just doesn't look right. So, because a face without shape just looks like a blob, you know, and you don't want to be a blob. Well, I mean, I guess for Halloween you could choose to be a blob, but that's not what I'm going for. So here I'm just making sure you can still see like eye socket, you can still see cheekbone. I started with a really cool toned beige shade in that palette, and here I'm going back over the palette with the very like blue gray in that same palette, and I was just trying to get it to cool down a little bit more. It was a little warm than I wanted. Here I'm going over my eye a little more because I wanted to create a little more of a glam eye shape, because yeah, I may be a ghost, but dang it, I was gonna be as glam as I could get, you know. So I was creating a little bit more of an eye shape with I started with the beige, and here I'm working on the cool toned gray, all in the same palette. And this is from the Avant Pop palette from NYX. You can find them at most places that carry NYX. Mine at my store, it's like down on the floor close to my feet. And it's a kind that has, they have several different kinds of the Avant Pop. This one has like a yellow and a blue and a green and a black and a gray. I'll look up the name and make sure I post it below. But what's cool about this palette is it's just got unusual colors in it, and what's great is it's got great color payoff, which is really unusual for drugstore. So for here, I just wanted to create an eye shape closest to my nose, so that way it didn't disappear in the white. And then I pulled the shadow out on the edges, and then I pulled it down into the tear ducts, which was really weird for me. Usually you want that to be like really highlighted, but not for a ghost. So here I'm sucking in my cheekbones so I can create an unusual shape on my face, because normally, especially when I get a little chubby, that's where I carry all my chub, is like right below my cheekbones. So to create the illusion that there's more of a shadow there, I pulled the shadow down my contour and then down kind of my jowls. Oh, that's a terrible name. Here I'm taking some highlighter because I wanted a gleaming ghost look. I didn't want it to be totally flat. So I took some liquid Lumi from L'Oreal and started with a liquid, and then went over it with a highlighter. And I started with my cheekbones and a little bit on my chin and my upper lip and my nose. I basically skipped my forehead because I wasn't really sure how much was actually even going to show. So I also put a little bit on my brow line. Now, I had to do my brows. It's a little weird to do a makeup look and then not do anything to my brows, so I figured I would keep them really light and kind of there, but not the focal point. So that's what I was going for with my brows. I had to do them a little bit. That is the NYX pencil so good. I really, really enjoy it. And I knew I had to give my eyes a little more depth because I held my eyelashes up to my eye to kind of see which ones I wanted, and they stood out so much. It was like the only thing you could see on my face was the eyelashes. So I decided to deepen out my eyes a little bit, and I wanted to still kind of keep that shape that I had created already with gray. So I just created a little more depth with the black in the NYX Avant Pop palette. And that black, by the way, is by far the blackest drugstore eyeshadow I have ever touched. It is so good. I wish that they had, well, actually, come to think of it, I haven't tried their single black eyeshadow, but the black inside the Avant Pop is so good. And I just used a pencil brush, laid the pigment down, and then I took a fluffy blender brush and I blended it out so there's no harsh lines. Here I'm taking my blender brush and I'm dipping it in my damp blender brush, beauty blender, and I'm dipping it into the white matte shadow in the Avant Pop, and I'm just creating a little bit more of a gaunt shape on my cheekbones, or the meat of my cheeks, and I was just carving it out a little bit more. And here I just wanted to white out my lips a little bit. I am going to use a white lipstick here pretty soon, but I wanted to try and get my lips pretty neutral because they are pretty pigmented. Here I'm using the Anastasia Beverly Hills waterproof gel liner in my waterline. I used it mostly on the bottom. I brought it up just a little bit on the corners just so you couldn't see as much pink. I was trying to get rid of any pink that I could find on my face, which is also why I started with a green color corrector. I was trying to get my face as neutral as I possibly could in the beginning. Then I used the whitest foundation I've got. Then I put the white powder on top of my face. So here I'm just creating a little more depth with the black. But you can see me pulling it down my nose. It just keeps the shape there, but it keeps my whole face in the same color family. A little more black, pulling it down to my nose, keeping that depth there. When you lose the depth of your nose, you start to look a little cartoonish, so I prefer to have more depth on my nose than, well, especially when I'm going with such white skin there. Like when I get really pale in the winter, I'll probably do a little more contour on my nose than usual. Here I'm just blending out lines because I noticed there was some there. This is the Maybelline Wickedly White lipstick. It's from their Bold collection that just came out. Normally I wouldn't wear white lipstick, but I knew Halloween was coming, so I nabbed it. Because you could also use lipstick as a cream base if you wanted to. This is the Essence black lipstick that I think hasn't been out very long. It might still be on displays. And at first I thought I was just going to create like an ombre effect, and then I realized that I wanted it to be more gray all around. So I put a little more in the center, and I'm actually blending it outside my normal lip shape because I didn't want a harsh line between the white skin and then the darker lip that I was going to create. So I blended it out as much as I could. And then I keep creating depth the more I go. You'll kind of see what I mean. And boom, I have contacts. Those contacts make such a huge difference. I got those contacts from flashyandbroke.com. So far, they've been awesome. I can't wear them too long because they're not like traditional contacts. They're kind of big. And here I'm just kind of blending out any lines that I see. I don't have any new pigment on my brush. I was just blending what I already had. And here I'm just checking how it looks on camera. So I knew that I wanted to put a little more highlight on my face as well, so I eventually get to that spot. Here I'm creating a little more depth in my forehead. That's the best part about this, just play. I just played, you know, and you could do the same thing when you decide to do something like this. Here I'm creating a little more depth in my neck because I knew I was going to wear a choker and there was going to be some attention there. So created more depth by pulling forward. Pull your shoulders forward and up, and you create those holes where you naturally already have some contour there. And all I did was I took the beige shade first and then mixed it with a little bit of the gray, and I created deeper shades in those pockets. And I just did it pretty quick because you don't need it to be pretty, it just needs to be a hint of a shadow. It's not the star of the show. So I didn't want to be completely white everywhere, so I basically did this first and then I highlighted with white instead of going with like a cream base. There's just no need to do that. And even on my face, I didn't use a white cream base. I used the lightest foundation I've got as my base, and then I covered it with a white eyeshadow as my setting powder on my face. So here I'm taking a white waterproof eyeliner, and I'm putting it on the highlights of where my bones are, so the parts that protrude out. I wanted it to stand out a little bit more. So I basically just followed the top, like where the sun would hit on the top of my collarbone, and then did the same thing on that muscle that goes from the back of your ear down to the top of your collarbone. And I just kept blending as much as I could, got out more white eyeshadow, and blended and patted and just did my best to make sure that it was there but not harsh line of any sort. So this is actually a black shadow. I wanted it to be a little deeper, and that lipstick wasn't doing it for me, but I wanted it to blend. So I just took this black eyeshadow or shadow stick, and I just deepened out my lines, but then you still gotta blend more and more and more. And you'll see why. Once I put the lashes on, you can see where the depth was going. There's my choker. And I put on a little more highlight because I wanted even more pop. That's kind of the fun thing about this look, is it was kind of a building process. You start with a basic shape, and then you just keep building the shapes and the colors that you want as you go. You keep your same palette that you want to stick with, and just keep building. Here I wanted to create more depth on my forehead because it was a little too round. I wanted it to be a little more angular, and so I put some highlighter from about the top of my brow at an angle out towards my hairline. And I really loved the way the highlighter looked, that one from NYX, so I just kept going with it. The reason why I put the choker on like that is I was checking to see if it was how it worked with my lips. I didn't want it to fight, the color to fight with my lips. So here I am blending more and more, and I realized I needed a little bit more white, so I'm pretty sure I used the whole pan of white, this matte white shadow from the NYX Avant Pop palette. Worth it. And you just want to curl your lashes so that way they will blend with the false lashes that you put on. And I did this pretty quick because I knew I was going to wear pretty prominent false lashes, but I also put some on the bottom because I wanted an open eye. I didn't want to be closed off, so I made sure I put my mascara on my bottom lashes as well. Now when I put on false lashes, it never goes smooth, which is why I included this in here. It's never a smooth process, especially when you use black glue and you're going for a look like this, but that's what I had. So you put it on the center and then you work on the outsides. And here I just needed a little bit more highlighter. I hope you guys enjoyed this look, and I hope that you get to have a wonderful, happy Halloween. It is one of my favorite holidays next to Christmas. I so appreciate you watching. Please like, comment, subscribe, let me know what you think. Share my video. I just love doing this so much, and I want to keep doing it. Thanks. Bye-bye. I can't handle myself. Okay. It's kind of a silly little wig. Really? Fridge? I may be sure to reason to call you up next time.